When I inherited my uncle's countryside estate, I felt more puzzled than grateful. I barely knew him. A distant relative, odd, reclusive, and entirely uninterested in family. Still, the idea of owning a quiet old house in the hills was strangely appealing. I thought I'd spend a few days there, maybe a week, get a feel for it. Sell it later, easy. The house was old, stone-built, surrounded by gnarled trees that pressed against the windows like whispering watchers. The lock on the front gate was rusted shut. I had to climb over the fence to get in. The key didn't work on the front door either, but the back one, oddly enough, swung open like it had been waiting for me. The inside smelled of dust, wax, and something faintly metallic. The floorboards creaked with every step I took, like the house groaned at my presence. Most of the rooms were empty, except for a few covered furniture pieces and one long hallway that led to a heavy oak door with an iron lock on it. Unlike the others, this one looked new, polished, secure, out of place. I didn't think much of it at first. Every old house has its secrets, probably a wine cellar or a storm shelter. That night, the wind picked up. I sat in the kitchen, reading by oil lamp. The power hadn't worked since I arrived. Occasionally, the wind would make the rafters above groan, but something else began mixing with the noise, faint tapping, rhythmic, insistent. Coming from the hallway, I stood, lamp in hand, and followed the sound. The tapping stopped as soon as I reached the door with the new iron lock. I knelt, ear to the wood. Silence. That's when the clicking began. Soft, deliberate, like metal being tested. The sound of something brushing against the other side of the lock. I told myself it was the wind, maybe an old mechanism shifting with pressure changes. But when I returned to the kitchen, I locked every window and kept the lamp close. The second night, I woke up at 3:12 a.m. to a sharp, scraping sound, like nails dragged across wood. I walked barefoot down the hallway, the house freezing around me. My breath fogged in the air. The lock was icy to the touch. A new sound emerged, a whisper. Not words, but a low, guttural hum, almost pleading. I backed away slowly. I decided to leave the next day, but curiosity won. Before sunrise, I returned to the door. I held the keyring I'd found in a drawer. One key, unmarked, strangely heavier than the rest. My hand trembled as I pushed it into the lock. It turned smoothly. The door opened with a heavy groan. Beyond it, a spiral staircase descending into pitch blackness. The air was thick, damp, and reeked of rotting soil. I stepped down. The stairs seemed to stretch far deeper than they should. At the bottom, a chamber carved into the earth pulsed with cold, wet air. In the center stood a stone pedestal. Shackles were bolted into the floor, and etched into every surface, walls, ceiling, floor, were symbols I didn't recognize, painted in something dark, flaking. On the pedestal sat a book, bound in what looked like skin. I reached out, drawn by something I couldn't explain. Behind me, the door slammed shut. The lock clicked. The whispers exploded into screams, not from me, from the walls, from the book. I turned, heart pounding, but the stairs had vanished, only blank stone now. The book throbbed. It opened by itself, pages fluttering like wings. A face, my face, emerged on the page, screaming silently. And then I understood. That lock, it wasn't keeping people out. It was keeping something in. Now I sit here, hours, days later. The air doesn't change, time doesn't pass, and when I try to scream, no sound comes. The book waits beside me, open, blank, ready for the next name.